Hi guys, so today on the little booktube corner I'm going to be talking about The Dead Lifeguard by R L Stine. This is the last R L Stine book I'm reading. The Dead Lifeguard starts out with this girl Lindsay, and she's going to be a lifeguard at the North Beach Country Club for the summer. And she gets to the club and she tries her ID card to swipe in and it's not working, and then she sees a dead girl floating in the pool and she starts flipping her shit. All the kids that are already there that are supposed to be lifeguarding for the summer run out and they're like, hey, what's going on? And she shows them her ID and it's like 2 years old and she's not on any of the lists for lifeguarding. I don't know if it's an adjective or a verb or whatever, but we're gonna make it a verb for now, lifeguarding. But they're just like, whatever, we'll figure it out later, we must have made a mistake, so they let her in. All the while during the book, there's this kid named Mouse talking to his dead friend Terry. He's not like a dead body sitting there, he's just like, hey Terry, it's me, Mouse, about how he's gonna kill off the lifeguards. But they don't let you know who Mouse is, like nobody who is there to lifeguard for the summer is named Mouse. The people who are there for the summer are Lindsay Beck, which is the main character, Danny, who's kind of like the lead lifeguard dude, Pete, who is Danny's boss, and like the guy who's running the pool, or the manager of the country club, I'm not really sure. But he's like above Danny. Deidre, who is this chick, May Ann, who is kind of dark, and she's always talking constantly about the ghosts of the country club and the people who have drowned there. Cassie, who's this sexy chick with like who's got like blonde hair and a deep voice, and the characters are described really weird in the book, and they don't seem to match their description, so in my head they're kind of different. Like, Cassie's like blonde and stuff, but I imagine her being dirty blonde, and Deidre has like straight black hair, and Mayanne has black eyes but auburn hair, and I'm like, I don't know, I think you have black hair and dark eyes, and I think that Deidre has the auburn hair, and so in my head that they don't look the same as they're described in the book. Oh, and there's a big guy named Pug, who is like super beefy, and he has blonde hair, but I imagine him not having blonde hair. And then this kid who's really quiet named Spencer shows up, and there's a kid named Arnie who's kind of a doof and always making jokes, and he really wants to fit in, but he's just annoying. So one night Lindsay is trying to sleep and she hears a voice calling for her, and when she wakes up, she goes out into the living room and Cassie has been murdered. When the police come, they kind of suspect her, but not really, because there's not really a reason to suspect her. Then Lindsay starts having some kind of personal problems of her own, because she tries to call her parents and the number's been disconnected, and she tries to go visit her house and some other lady is living there, and so she doesn't really know what's going on, but she doesn't really talk about it either. She's just like, well, maybe I'm the lifeguard that died a couple summers ago, which was the blonde girl she saw floating in the pool, and when she picked the girl up, she was like, oh my god, that's me. Everybody keeps kind of like clashing and butting heads over stupid stuff. They keep having to close the pool because people keep getting murdered. Like, the next person, Pug, is murdered, and Lindsay hears voices and she goes out and he's in the weight room laying dead. Arnie keeps, like, sneaking up on Lindsay and is like, you belong with me, we're gonna be together because I know you like me, and she's like, dude, I don't like you. And then, kind of right after Pug gets murdered, Lindsay pushes somebody in the pool, and she's like, oh my god, I'm not Lindsay, my name's Marissa. I was a lifeguard here before, and I was friends with Lindsay Beck, and I pushed her in the pool because we had a fight, and she drowned. And I've been in a mental hospital, and I just realized who I am. So the big twist still waiting around is, who the hell is Mouse? So Spencer goes over to comfort Lindsay right after. He's like, hey, I know this is a lot to take in. And she's like, hey, you said you recognized me before, but if you recognize me as Marissa, why didn't you ever tell me? And he's like, oh, we didn't know each other that well, because the whole time she's thinking, I kind of get the vibe that we were friends, or that we know each other a little bit more than he's letting on. So she goes into the office to call her parents to be like, okay, I figured out my identity, I'm gonna go call my parents and make sure that they know I'm okay. But then she gets a call from Spencer's mom. It was like, hey, Spencer, I'm sorry I didn't call you guys sooner. Spencer was killed right before, and I've been sedated because I've been so upset. So yeah, he didn't show up because he was killed. Then she goes to the real Spencer and is like, hey, what's going on? And then she realizes, oh, hey, you're Jack Mouser, the kid who was here a couple summers ago. You were a cook, and you had a friend Terry. I guess they had tried out to be lifeguards, and the lifeguards made him do all these ridiculous tests, but they knew it was never going to happen, they were going to become lifeguards. So Terry went home and tried out to be a lifeguard again when he was at home, and he ended up killing himself because he didn't make it. And Mouser blamed all those lifeguards, and so he's been making it his mission to kill off lifeguards one by one to avenge Terry's death. He then tries to kill Marissa/Lindsay, and as he does, May Ann shows up, and all the other kids show up, and they like wrangle him, and they're like, hey, he tried to kill you, and he's been killing all the other lifeguards. And then that's pretty much the end of the book. The book started out really interesting because I thought that Lindsay slash Marissa was going to be the ghost, and I wanted to know how that was going to play, and I guess this is things I don't like about the book first. I was kind of disappointed with the plot twist because it was so weird and flimsy, like she all of a sudden remembered her identity and blah blah blah. And plus, it was kind of used a little bit before of like the whole personality break thing with the summer party one. Another thing I didn't really like was that the book was split up into different perspectives, and I think it was supposed to like throw you off the trail, but there was Lindsay slash Marissa telling the story, May Ann was telling it briefly, Mouse slash Mouser was telling different parts of the story, and Danny was. And I really feel like they didn't need to have Danny telling it, or May Ann. It could have just been told from Lindsay and probably Mouse's point of view the whole time, and it would have been just fine. Another thing I don't like, and I noticed this when I read the book Date Night before, which I didn't review here. When R L Stine writes from the perspective of dudes, he I don't know, he's really good at writing female perspectives of books. But when it comes to guys, the guys in the story, no matter what's going on, are kind of scamming on the girls and like, oh man, she's got a hot body, or she's really sexy, when it doesn't really need to be said, and it makes it seem like he thinks that guys just think about chicks and getting laid constantly. But it's weird because from the female perspective, yeah, they mention this guy's cute or this girl's pretty, but it's not constant like he does from a male character perspective. And I remember during Date Night, that was made the whole story and dialogue kind of cheesy and stupid, was because the guy was like, oh, thinking about getting laid all the time, pretty much. I mean, he doesn't say that, but it's pretty much what they're alluding to. Overall, this was I'm kind of sad that I ended my little R L Stine spree on this, because I really didn't like the book that much. I was really looking forward to a good plot twist, and it fell flat. So my thoughts overall on R L Stine, I think I can make a pretty good description of R L Stine's work at this point. I've noticed his books are more about suspense and kind of a little bit mystery than horror. His descriptions of clothes are really strange sometimes. I know it's the 80s, but at one point some girl was wearing a big not-fitting shirt with neon green bike shorts. And that happens a lot with his clothes. I remember reading these as a kid and I was like, man, they have a lot of oversized sweaters. That makes me want to wear oversized sweaters, but the descriptions of clothes weren't really how I thought they were when I was a kid. I thought I would get more nostalgia from these books, like I did when I was a kid, when the characters would just wake up on a Saturday morning and go do whatever, or wake up early on a Saturday and have breakfast and then go do this stuff. And I remember really liking that as a kid, man, I wish I could do that, but I don't really feel that now as an adult, the whole nostalgia, or it doesn't really bring back the flood of nostalgia like I thought it would. So that was kind of disappointing. But I don't think that R L Stine really has a good representation of men and women in his books, as far as telling a story from their perspective. Again, he's really good at telling stories from a female perspective, but not so much of a male perspective, which I thought was kind of weird because, he's a dude. And usually with male authors, they're good at telling one perspective better than another when it comes to gender. Overall, I was surprised that the books weren't worse than I thought when I was a kid. I thought the writing was going to be terrible, and the descriptions were going to be horrible, and I thought it was just going to be, maybe I was making it better in my mind than I thought. But the writing overall isn't too bad. It's not spectacular. So I'm sorry for all the R L Stine books. I'm done reading him for now, and probably for a very, very long time. I don't know if I'll ever pick up an R L Stine book again. I really overdid it with reading the R L Stine. I'm going to take a very slight break from reading, but I'm really excited to get back into reading, not normal stuff, but more books I'm more accustomed to reading, and getting into my to-be-read list on Goodreads. So I'm going to take a little bit of a break from reading, and then I'm going to go jump back in and pick out something for my TBR list. I don't know what I'm going to read yet, but I'll let you know when I read it, obviously. But hope you enjoyed this little R L Stine showcase on our little booktube corner, and if you didn't, I'm sorry, but it's over now, so yay! Hope you guys enjoy this. Love you guys. Bye. This time around. Shit.